Okay, I think we're good there. All right, John. Is there anybody? Where's John? John. Oh, there's John. Is there anybody that would be interested in celebrating clean time tonight with bracelets? Okay, all right. John, would you handle that for us? Reading that for us after doing the steps. Thank you, John. I meant to talk to you beforehand, but kind of. And if it gets too warm in here, we can cool it back down. It's just. I'm not kidding. I'm hot for some reason. Maybe it's all that baptism stuff. So anyway, I want to say welcome to all of you and congratulations to those that were baptized and to our internet folks that maybe are joining us. Several weeks ago, we had some folks that wanted to be baptized, but they wanted to do it here at Saturday night. And I think that may be the first time in 20 years we've done baptism here. We've done baptism in the church before on Saturday night, but never in just as a Saturday night baptism. So anyway, we did that, and we had how many baptized? Six? Okay. All right, so congratulations to all those.
Yeah.
And to those on internet, we glad you're with us. Saturday Night Live is a place for recovery, and we call it life recovery. Reason why we call it life recovery, because life is messy. Anybody agree with that? And there's all kinds of things going on in our life, and it's not just drugs, not just alcohol, but the list is endless. Okay. And so what we want to do is there's some common things in the issues of the obsessive compulsive behaviors, and so we just want to help. And so that's what we're here to do with Life Recovery, and it's a 12-step recovery program, faith-based. You don't have to have our faith to be at this meeting, no, okay? All you have to do is be interested in recovery. How's that? Does that sound good? All right. How's that with you internet folks? All right, yeah, okay. They said okay too. All right, tonight we're going to be talking about spiritual exercise. Vanessa picked this out, and she was going to be teaching it, but something came up, so she wasn't able to be here. So Willie's going to cover for Vanessa. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yay, Willie.
Yeah. Vanessa's going to cover next week for Willie. She just don't know it yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. And Robert's going to be doing the reflection and the questions. And that'll be great. And then next week, so Will Cook. Okay, yeah, Will Cook is going to be doing the step, which is dealing with anger. Right, Will? Right?
Yes.
And then Willie or / Vanessa will be doing the reflection questions next week.
Oh, it'd be Vanessa.
Okay. All right. Don't want to get in the middle of that fight. So the main question here is, what does spiritual exercise mean?
Are you guys studying your Bible?
Say it again.
Studying your Bible?
Studying the Bible. Okay. That could be a spiritual exercise. Yes. Yes, Robert.
I think it has to do with being fit. So just like our body needs physical exercise, our spiritual lives need exercise too.
Well, that's good, Robert. Go ahead.
It's more than just saying that I've accepted God and doing all the previous steps. Those are really important, but this is kind of just to maintain how far we've come. If we just say, well, look, I already apologized to people and made amends where possible, and then we forget about it, pretty soon we're going to end up right back where we were if we don't constantly work on
it or practice it.
Right.
And today's step is step 10, and we do. This is the 10th month, so we're doing the 10th step, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. And in fact, that would be a spiritual exercise, right?
Yeah.
And so, and what you're talking about, continuing to practice, because if you don't work out physically, then you get weak, right? And if we don't practice on spiritual methods, then we'll get weak spiritually. And so that's what tonight's about. Saint Ignatius, back in the 16th century, they said it was a quite notable spiritual exercise that he developed back then, 16th century. So I don't know, caught my attention. And there's 3 steps to it. The first one goes right down to what Robert was talking about, and that's meditation on Scripture. Also, I think Tommy talked about that. So meditating or thinking or pondering Scriptures is a good spiritual exercise. The second one is examining your conscience. Okay, what does that mean? That means a real practice of reviewing one's thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Shall I say that again? Thoughts, actions, attitudes. TAA.
One more time.
Thoughts, actions, and attitudes. We need to reflect on that. That would be a spiritual exercise. Now, how you reflect on that would kind of depend on which way you're moving in the spiritual realm, right? Are you cold, Tina? Oh, you can probably get another towel and wrap around you. For you folks out at TV Land, Tina got baptized and she didn't bring any clothes. So I mean, she had clothes on, but she didn't bring any clothes to put on after she was baptized. Have to be careful how you say these things. Now, Will threatened to do that, but that's the way he is. But all right, so we regularly practice reviewing our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and discerning. This is the rest of what number 2 is: to discern what they identify God's. No, I skipped a line. Discern how they align with God's desires. So we want to align our desires, our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes lined up with God's desires. Okay, number 3, and that would be discernment. All right. In fact, I thought number 3 was very important, and that is learning to identify God's voice and direction in daily life. I thought that was a good one. Any comments, questions?
I think if we continually take our moral inventory over and over and over, we have to use discernment to do that.
Very good.
And that keeps us morally fit and morally exercised in our daily walk.
And helps us to be in that alignment that we were talking about.
We do, and if we have to,
Some would call it attunement.
we have to take that moral inventory continually, or we don't progress.
Mm-hmm.
We don't move forward.
If we don't listen to the GPS, we get off course, right?
Yeah, and if we don't update it, we're really lost.
Okay. All right. So, we're going to start off with John. John's going to read the steps. Thank you, John. Give me another sheet right there. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Step one, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and lives over to the care of God. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrong. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. Step 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continued to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all of our affairs. Back to step 10, which we're on this month. We continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Let's see. Clean time. We here at SNL offer colorful bracelets for clean time. And our first one is a white bracelet for just a day or up to 30 days. The next is orange for 30 days, for 30 days. Then green for 60 days. Maroon for 90 days. Blue for 6 months.
Yeah.
Are you up to head? Yeah.
Yellow for 9 months. Glow in the dark for a year.
Is it you?
Not much.
Glow in the dark for a year. Gray for 18 months. Black for 2 or more years. Silver for 5 or more. And gold for 10 or more. And once again, we go back to the white for
46.
46.
46 units.
46 years clean.
All right, so that would be.
Gold. Gold one, yep.
All that we ever get. Have you ever given the gold away?
Very rarely.
I said I would say something, I hardly ever, it's been a long time. Thank you.
Very, very rarely do we give gold away. Back to white bracelet for just a day or for up to 30 days. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Lori.
How y'all doing tonight?
Excelente.
Do what?
Excelente.
Okay, take your word for it.
Speaking those foreign languages.
I guess. I just thought it was water in my ears. Oh. Spiritual exercises.
So what spiritual exercise did you do this evening?
I've been praying awful hard this evening. Trust me.
But about this water in your ears, spiritual exercise.
Oh, baptism. Okay. I'm on the spot here. I didn't realize I was doing this till like 1 o'clock like yesterday.
So I thought I'd take the opportunity to, kind of connect the dots here.
Okay, that helps. Yes. We continue to take personal inventory, and when we are wrong, promptly admit it. It is amazing what human beings can achieve through consistent discipline, effort. You got a
Okay.
question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
First, it usually seems like that the first sentence is
A thinker.
thought-provoking. So, do you agree with that statement?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I agree with it.
And what's your thoughts about that?
We kick ourselves in the butt every day for when we mess up. And it's ongoing, so, you know.
Yeah, well, but the point here, why don't you read that sentence again?
It is amazing what human beings can achieve through constant discipline effort.
All right. Anybody, any other comments from anybody? Yeah, well,
To achieve, I mean, you successfully with it, not something that you got to continue with.
right.
Yeah, but you keep doing it, eventually you're gonna achieve
Well,
it.
it was talking, he kind of looked at it in the negative way, but actually it's kind of written in the positive way. So that kind of tells you what he's thinking, I guess, so.
He probably knows this, he's never thought about it.
So any comments from anybody else? John, did you have anything? Okay. Robert?
I like it when it says disciplined effort, because it takes some work. It's not just like, go back to the athletes. If you watch any of the Olympics, some of the things that they're able to do is just amazing, that a body can do that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they weren't born with that ability, but they trained with discipline and consistency to be able to perform those magnificent feats of athleticism. And it's the same with recovery. If we're not serious about it, it's not going to work. We have to be disciplined in our effort at recovery.
And what will that do for us?
It will make our future much better.
All right. So, and you know, you're hitting the nail right on the head here, and that's really good. So we're talking about using this effort focused in a recovery way or in a spiritual discipline to make our life better. And you are saying, at least that I think you're saying, that if we may not feel like we're a Olympian in Olympics, okay, but nobody started off that way.
No.
And could we say the same thing in recovery or in this spiritual endeavor that we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Any other comments? Thank you, Robert. Okay, Big Willie.
How many times have we watched seasoned gymnastics and other athletes and marveled at the ease in which they performed? We realized that they developed those abilities through rigorous training, which is what sets the true athlete apart from the spectator. Continuing our regular personal inventory requires similar self-discipline.
Okay. Particularly, what do you think that means? How about if we just focus on the last sentence there? If we continue on our regular personal inventory, which requires simply self-discipline, what do you think that means?
I mean, if we keep doing the same thing, we keep after what we want instead of what we don't want, then eventually we're gonna get it to where it's, goes from the conscience to the, which one's which? Subconscious mind to the mind?
Well, I'm not sure, well, we have both of those.
Right.
I'm not sure what.
Which is the one that you do without thinking?
That's the sub or the
Okay,
unconscious.
it'll move to the subconscious, and we do it automatically.
But if we
If
go
we
for the
keep,
training.
if we
okay?
keep training.
Yeah, we focus in our conscious mind, we practice what we want to think, and when we internalize it, then it moves from that conscious into the subconscious or into the non-conscious, where it becomes more automatic and in the habit. And that'd be a whole lot better to have a healthy habit than a unhealthy one, right?
Yes,
How easy is that?
it ain't at all. Trust me.
Any comments from anybody?
The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Practice makes permanent.
Very good. Well, I like that statement, practice makes permanent. Because most people say it the other way. And that's not so. So, Beth, did you have something you want to say? You moved your head.
I was just saying no at the perfect.
Do I?
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, that's right. And if we want to, get involved consciously with what it is we want to develop in our life, then we can change those patterns. But like Willie said, it's not easy. In fact, it's some of the most difficult part of the process, renewing our mind, how we think. And not just how we think, because it goes to our intuitive responses, so we have to get it in our subconscious. Right?
Right.
Anything else? Okay, Willie.
Paul wrote to Timothy in 1 Timothy 4, 7, and 8. Train yourself to be godly.
Wait a second right there. Just, I think it's important that if you want something in your life, you have to work on it, like Robert said, right? And they're using training here to tie in with the athlete, all right? So you have, if you want, is it all right if I say your name?
Yeah,
Not you. Our new lady back here. I didn't know, not Sharon, but,
Santa?
yeah, Senna. I was gonna say Senna, but I didn't, since you already said it, I'm gonna say it too. So,
You said it earlier, so I was like.
yeah, well, I didn't know if I could say her name, so. So I guess it's all right? It's already said it?
That's fine.
Okay, well, Senna is visiting us here tonight, because from what I understand, she's, going to college and she wanted to come and she wants to, I think I remember in the counseling area, so she's here to, to broaden her vision of things, I would say. Is that all right? And so we're glad that she's here. And so, but for her to learn, she's here to try to train herself, get exposed to what's going on so that it could affect her thinking so that she would be able to apply. And, it's not just having the information. I've had a lot of, well, in fact, there were even counselors that came to me and they had a lot of information. In fact, they had a lot of more information than I did, but they couldn't seem to connect their own dots, if you know what I mean. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes we can do it for others, but we got blocks for ourselves. And so, but we have to be willing to train, and I just thought I would use her saying that whatever it is that we want to do, if we want to get better, then we have to work on it. If you don't care about getting better, then you're working on it the other way by doing what you're doing, right? Hello? Okay, so train or training, okay? Go ahead and finish the verse.
Physical, physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better.
And so that's in moral, proper alignment. And so that's what we're talking about here. Go ahead.
The word translated training referred specifically to the discipline training done by the gymnast in Paul's day.
Okay, just let me jump in here. Now, they're saying that this word training or exercise, okay, but that word training is also one of the words in Greek that goes to gymnast, because it's it's spelt like that a little bit in the Greek. I practiced on trying to say it, but I don't got it right now, and I didn't write it down. So, and so, but that's where we get this training aspect. And see, one of the things that is very interesting to me, and maybe you'll find it interesting, Paul uses a lot of Greek and Roman terminology because basically Greek was the language that all the New Testament was written in. Actually, it was called Koine Greek because it's so precise, which makes it really good for using it for the scriptures, and so, but he uses. I mean, he was raised, he was taught, he was educated, and he's familiar with the Greek and the Hebrew, of course, and so he uses a lot of. I mean, you have to use what you have, and the best language to speak in, which is what Paul did here when he was speaking the scriptures, was Greek, in case you didn't know. And then it's been translated from Greek into English or whatever language we got. Does that make, I don't know if, we never talked about that, but I thought I'd throw that out here because since they're bringing it up here about translated words. Questions? Okay.
Spiritual strength and agility come only through practice. We need,
So wait. Do you agree or disagree with that?
yeah,
Why?
you ain't gonna learn if you don't practice it.
I heard just a little bit ago, practice makes permanent.
Permanent.
Yeah, right? So, so whatever you want permanent, that's what you ought to practice, right?
Right,
And so the trouble is, we normally practice what we don't want.
right.
What's up with that?
Just wired wrong.
Okay.
Gotta rewire.
Makes it permanent.
Whatever you practice. Yeah, whatever you practice. Okay. Go ahead, Will.
We need to develop our spiritual muscles through consistent effort and daily discipline. Continuing to take our personal inventory is one of the disciplines we need to develop.
Okay, hold on a minute. Now we're talking about personal inventory. A lot of us humans like to take everybody else's inventory. Right? Did you have something you want to say on that, Will?
I just said it was easier.
It is easier. Yeah. But we're talking about personal inventory because that goes back to, I think it was Beth that said this, that, if you're aware of your, where things are at, because you can only change things that you're aware of, right? You can't change something that you're not aware of. So we have to be open to that, and that's what your personal inventory is about, is to become aware of what's going on. And our mind is a extraordinary piece of equipment, and even though you may not be consciously aware of what it is that you're looking for, but if you give it directions to help you to find it, it goes to work to do that. Have you ever found that? Your mind does that, and also your spirit does that. Okay. Go ahead.
Like the athletes, we can motivate ourselves to continue in discipline routines by looking forward to our reward. This kind of discipline promises benefits in this life and the life to come.
First, that's the end of 1 Timothy 4:8.
Results won't happen overnight, but if we continue practicing these disciplines each day, we will eventually reap the benefits.
So that statement about results won't happen overnight. Do you agree with that
I
statement?
agree.
Do you guys agree with that statement? Do you have a illustration?
You know, when I go to work for a new factory, I see the guy working that's been there for a while. It looks like he's going really fast, and I get in there and I can't seem to do, near what he's doing. Within a week or two, I can keep up with it. Generally, I can outdo him, but generally, if I keep at it, I can always accomplish the goal. But first, I gotta have a goal to do it. And I'm not gonna get all into how I feel about that, but I'll say I've had a hard time keeping jobs. I've done it more than once, so I know if it works there, surely it can work anywhere else too.
Yes. So that would be being interested and focused, right? And then practicing what you've learned.
Doing what it takes to eat, yes.
I couldn't hear you.
That would be starving, doing whatever it takes to eat.
That would be some motivation.
Yes.
But then what about after you're not starving anymore? Then what happens?
Then I usually get this big head of pride. I quit the job and I had to start a new one when I'm really hungry again. So through all this process, now I just keep the same job. That's not the point. The point is, I've been through it enough times to know that what seems impossible with enough practice can be achieved.
Oh, so your muscle memory kicks in.
Well,
No, that was his problem before.
right.
Good training. Yeah, but maybe it's starting to in a healthier way.
Well, my mind likes to tell me that I've started over before, and I can do it. I know I can because I've done it so many times before. But that don't. But there comes a time when you gotta realize that just because you can doesn't mean you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I just keep the same job back until next week.
Well, you don't, after you start over from zero a few times, then it goes, goes into the negative side, right? And you're not starting at zero, you're starting at a negative.
I really think it's zero because the negative would be like going to jail and that least be it. I mean, it's all about perspective, I guess. Because seriously, I mean, once I get to the point where I have to do something, that's zero. But if you go any further than that, somebody's always been doing it for me, whether it's my mom or the jail or whatever the case may be, transitional living. And it was almost like I had this umbrella to keep me from hurting myself too much more. But there comes a time when you just got to get up and do it yourself. That's what that baptism was about, by the way.
All right.
I mean, when I made the decision to get baptized, all day today, all I could think about was the reasons why I couldn't be here. And, I've been through this enough to know that sleep is not a good reason. So if it didn't work, I still shut it down.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Anybody else? Yes?
When you do the physical thing, at one point in time after I had my heart transplant, I walked 80 feet, and the people acted like I had won gold at the Olympics. That was all I had and all I could do. But over time and with rehab, I got to where I can go a long ways. But when I stop, I don't stop where I'm at. You always regress when you stop. If you take a couple of days off, you can't do what you did 2 or 3 days ago. If you take a month off, you can't. You just go backwards. There's no just taking a break and idling in one spot. It's like swimming upstream. As soon as you stop, you start to drift and drift and drift. And the same thing happens. Same thing happens in life. If we don't do that cleanup, I got a little mess here in my life. I clean it up today. But if I don't, it'll collect more tomorrow and more tomorrow. and then I drift back into old habits, and everybody in here's done that at least once. We know that, good stuff, but keep going. It's an everyday thing. We don't, there's no breaks. We want a break, but we don't get breaks. We want a nap, that's what we want. But the nap doesn't work. And you know that because you've done it before. And we learn, so you keep pressing and you keep getting a little better, never stop.
Good, good. And that ties in with what you were saying earlier, Robert. So, anybody else? Oh, by the way, this is Paul. Everybody say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Okay, and should we say hi to Brenda too?
I'm Brenda.
Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
All right. What else, Willie?
That is all I have.
What did you learn from this lesson?
Not to let Vanessa off the hook so easy.
Willie, I think you've done a fantastic job tonight.
I do too.
So, what's your takeaway, Willie?
Keep after it.
Okay, good deal. All right, thank you, Willie. Come on down, Robert.
And I will give Vanessa a very stern talking. She's my daughter.
Yeah, this is Vanessa's mom. Oh, over here.
I will give her a very stern talking, so I didn't know she wasn't going to be here tonight. I'm sorry.
Hello, everybody. I'm Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Spiritual exercises.
I didn't know that.
So, the first question is, as this continual inventory is important for spiritual fitness, where in my daily routine can I set a time to make self-assessment part of every day? Well, first thing is you have to want to do it.
That's good.
Because if you don't want to, you absolutely will not. You have to want to get better. You have to want to get better. So, first I wrote down mornings for myself, which is kind of when I set aside time to read the Bible and pray. But I think actually evenings is the time when I take inventory, because after my day, I kind of think of how my day went and what I did wrong and what I did right and that kind of stuff. But you'd have to do whatever works for you. You know, everybody is different. But that's kind of me.
Okay. Well, you talked about the two time frames, and of course, the last 15 or 20 minutes of the day and the first 15 or 20 minutes of the day, they call those the golden times. And because in the first 15 or 20 minutes, that's where you can kind of set your mindset for the day and help you to get kind of get your bearings mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And the last 15 or 20 minutes, reason why they call that a golden time, is because that's what happens. You're deciding what you're going to think about right before you go to sleep, which that gives you that focus of nighttime to kind of go in that direction of what you're thinking. So it's almost like it's a pre-programming in a sense in the morning and in the evening. And so those are good times. But it's really what works best for you, like you said. But I also wanted to, I made a note that I wanted to touch this. One of the things I learned when I was going to college, that I would sit in class and take notes, and then at the end of the semester, I'd go back and try to figure out what my notes meant. Okay, and sometimes what they said, and it was difficult, because then I had to go back and expose actually all the material again to myself. And I don't know if this was a suggestion from someone or if it just I stumbled across it, but I figured out if I could get to class a few minutes early and get my notes out and review my notes up to today, and it didn't take long because I stayed current, kind of like what you were talking about. I stayed current in my knowledge base. I kept practicing it. I remembered it and also internalized it more. Does that make sense? And then when it came to exam time, I knew the information, and it was a whole lot easier, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I hope that was a helpful illustration. So go ahead.
All right. Question 2, do I have any resistance to evaluating my defects daily? What are my objections and what do I fear? Well, yes. Nobody likes to think about what they do wrong. At least most people don't.
But what'll happen if we don't?
You probably keep on doing it wrong.
But how long, and this is not in the information, but I believe this information I think is important, this question. How long should you reflect on these defects?
As long as it takes to make plans on how you're going to correct those defects.
Okay, so the key here is to recognize them and then go to the solution part of it.
Right.
So we recognize it, and then we spend the majority of the time. In fact, Dr. Carolyn Leaf says you should only spend 30 seconds to 3 minutes on the defects aspects of things, but enough to get in connection with it, but don't spend so much time that you embed that into your system, and then you go into the solution where you want to go type issue.
Okay, one thing that I wanted to kind of bring out about myself is I lead a pretty lonely life. I'm a single guy. I live alone. I work, 5 or 6, 7 hours a day sometimes. And many times I work alone because my boss, who I work with some days, he likes to work from home. So a lot of times he stays home to work. So I have a lot of time on my own. And sometimes that's not good because you get to thinking about the wrong things sometimes, and my tendency is to think that I'm always the right person. I'm right all the time. So on those occasions when I do interact with other people, if something goes wrong, well, I don't see my own part in it very easily. I have to reflect on that part that I played in the going sideways.
And that reflection is part of that spiritual exercise.
Right. So it's something that I have to be aware of, and I have to fight pretty hard because let's face it, I mean, I don't know if everybody's like me, but I don't like to be wrong. And so when I am wrong, it kind of knocks me down a bit, But it's important for me to recognize it. So I'm working on it, and if any of you ever see that I'm kind of acting too high on the hog, well, point it out to me because I need to know that, Anyway.
That's good. Beth just said, nobody's perfect. It is human to err.
Yes, but practice makes permanent, right?
That is correct.
I love that statement.
Like Paul says, you got to make sure you practice the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, then 3, we got this sample, an example of a simple daily personal inventory. First of all, where have I been selfish, dishonest, fearful, inconsiderate, or proud? And this, I really liked what you brought out earlier, that the TAA, we have to think of our thoughts, attitudes, and actions, not just those qualities of selfishness, dishonesty, fearfulness, inconsiderateness, and pride. We have to think of our thoughts, our attitudes, and actions in relation to each of those things. Where were my thoughts selfish? Where were my attitudes selfish? Where were my actions selfish? So it's work. It requires discipline, you know, but it's worth it. It really is.
And if this is going to be a permanent or at least a practice of a personal inventory, there's 5 of them. Five statements here. And I saw a way of remembering is that you know that there's 5 here on your inventory, and I want to check my selfishness. I'm going to check my dishonesty. I'm going to check my fearfulness, my being inconsiderate, and also my pride. And I got thinking, if I could remember the hand there and those fingers and what they mean there, that would help me to be able to have that inventory. So you got your notepad with you all the time.
Yeah.
In a matter of speaking.
It's good. Okay, what have I done right today? Well, this is something that I try to make a habit of sometime during the day, even if it's just picking up a stray piece of trash, or when I walk by the neighborhood market, because I work down there near it and I walk home from work every day. I always go out of my way to grab a shopping cart out of the parking lot and take it to where it belongs, just to kind of make myself that, well, maybe I'm not all bad, I'm trying to do something good each day. And then when I do have interaction with people, I always try to say something nice about or to that person. Even if it's just walking by, I say, hey, how you doing today? Good to see you. To me, it's just kind of something that makes me feel better inside when I do something like that.
It's carrying the load,
Yeah.
making it easier on somebody else. And that should make you feel better. You want me to go on? Well, I on my 5 thing here is that with my right hand, the next statement here in this reflection here is, what did I do right? It says in my right hand, so what did I do right? We got to remember we need to know these other things too, but we need to know what we've done right. Sometimes we can find the bad a whole lot easier than the good.
Yeah.
And so what did I do right? Go ahead.
Okay, then what do I need God's help with tomorrow? Well, everything. We need God's help with everything, but when we're doing this inventory, specifically, we should ask for God's help in those things that we've found out that we didn't do right. We did not do right. Say, okay, I was selfish to this person. Pray to God when you're praying, say, let me work on that, let me apologize to that person, and let me be aware that I have that tendency, so help me not to.
Well, my analogy is not over yet.
Okay.
The hand, I want to be right, and then this wanting to solicit God's help. It's like reaching out and taking His hand, and going with our reflection.
That's good.
So where do I need His help? So we're taking Him, grabbing hold of that, and instead of running and hiding, we reach out for help with him. Okay, go ahead.
I like this one. What am I grateful for today? And sometimes when we're thinking about our relationship with God, it's always, at least I've found that many of us have a tendency to, we're ready to pray when we need help. But if we don't need help, and every day we should be thanking God for what He's given us. He's given us everything: food, shelter, a job, the health, healing. And we wouldn't have that. And above all, the grace of God for sending His Son as a sacrifice for our sins. I can't imagine people that don't believe in God, what kind of hope they have, I mean, it's just beyond me. But we can be grateful that God has given us all of these things, and we can thank Him for that and also ask Him to help others become more appreciative as well.
Gratefulness is a powerful tool that we can choose to be grateful or choose not to be grateful. And if we are grateful, that shifts. In fact, research shows that it alters your chemistry in your body and in your mind, in your brain. In your brain. And the analogy here is we go from extending our hand to God and get His help to raising our hand saying, I'm grateful. Thank you for all those things you mentioned. And we could even say breath.
Yeah. I think it's important, too, to express our gratitude to other people.
Yes.
Even for little things.
Yes.
Like, I'm grateful to see everyone here at this meeting, because it's just encouraging to see people take time out of their day and their schedule to come here and want to share, because they know it's important. People that have these addictive personalities or are working on recovery, it's hard. But the encouragement we get here, I can't tell you what it means to me. And I'm grateful to have you all come and share. It means a lot.
Well, we're glad you share with us. You do a good job.
All right.
So, the final question.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find my nutshell.
So, in a nutshell, Robert, what did you learn from the lesson?
The recovery is actually a lifelong process. We're not going to recover overnight. We're not going to recover in 6 months. We're going to continue recovering the rest of our lives, hopefully. And God has given us grace to have a chance to do that. So let's do our best. Let's be determined athletes, disciplined in everything we do in our recovery, because it's work, but it is worth it.
Good. And what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is spiritual exercises are important.
Good. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert. And thank you, Willie, for filling in for Vanessa. And Jim, even though you didn't get to play tonight, I'm going to thank you for, always, being in the band and playing in the band. because Vanessa wasn't here, I'm assuming that's the reason why Bobby wasn't here, and so, anyway. But anyway, and we ought to really thank Willie for building the baptistry, wouldn't you say? And so, thank you, Willie. He built it and rebuilt it again, I think, and so want to thank him for his work and effort there, and thank you for being here tonight. And John, you didn't say anything tonight. Do you want to say anything?
Nah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else before we close? Lori, anything? All right. Sharon, you have anything you'd like to say?
No.
Okay. Yes, Brenda.
I just had a thought. If we're busy doing the right things, we don't have time to do the wrong things. The things on the right hand are the right things, and the things on the left hand are the wrong things.
That's probably would have been better to do.
So, if we're busy doing the right things, we
Yeah.
don't have time to do the wrong things.
You bet.
And keep doing those good things, Robert, because that shows Christ to people that don't know Him.
Right.
I do have something.
Okay.
When you said that it does get easier, it does. And like this 46 years, it does get easier.
Thank you.
And I mean, it really does get easier.
It doesn't seem like it, and there will be those moments, even after years and years, there are trigger points.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
They're there. And in the field I work in, I see it a lot. But I can say to these young people that do it, I can say, it really, really does get easier. You just gotta keep one day at a time, just one day at a time. And it does get easier. We work together.
Yep. That's good. Thank you. Anybody else? Sina, did you have anything you'd like to say? Did I say the right name? Sina? Senate?
I just appreciate you guys letting me sit in.
I'm sorry I couldn't hear you.
I said I just appreciate you guys letting me come and sit in on this meeting.
Oh, no. We're glad you're here. You're welcome anytime. We don't refuse anybody. I mean, we often say that you can come here high or drunk as long as you don't affect anybody else's recovery. And so there's not a lot of places that don't allow that, but it's worked out for us for 20 years. So
That's good to know. I didn't know that.
yeah.
You don't have it on your person.
Oh, I mean, because I've known people that really, really need to come to a meeting of some kind, but they're not allowed in, so.
We allow them as long as they don't distract from the meeting. They're welcome, and we have some that are that push the line a little bit, but usually somebody can help them, and if we can't, then they understand the policy because we explain the policy. So. Right, Paul?
Yep.
Paul used
Take me out.
Paul used to work with us for I don't know how many years, Paul.
Probably 5 at least.
Yeah. So God sends me these people to sharpen me up, and Paul was one of those. I'm just kidding. So, anybody else? Anything? I'll give you one more shot, Beth. Anything else you want to say? Okay. Not tonight? Oh, you're saying I need to ask David. David.
Yeah, he likes to be put on the spot.
Okay. All right. Well, so,
Make a comment about the Chili Fest.
okay. Tomorrow, here at Central Christian Center, which is our facility across the street, which is the reason why we had the tape, all the things outside in the tent, and we'll be having a special service, and we should have some flyers there by John. That this is our 51st or 52nd, 51st, and I've been at all of them except for one, the very first one. But anyway, we'll have service, and then we'll special service, and then we'll come out for the parking lot, and we're going to have chili and cupcakes and activities and all kinds of things going on right after church, right out here on the parking lot, and everybody's welcome. So, where was I going on that? I appreciate that. So anyway, all right. So I guess we're done. So may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you and give you His peace. And of course, make healthy choices.
Give Doug a hand.
Oh.